topic is conflict. Conflict. You must have heard this word conflict. Kashmir conflict between India and Pakistan, other conflicts, you know. What do you understand of the conflict?
The contradiction among
That is
two
right.
parties.
That is right. To some extent, contradiction. It's a disagreement.
Yeah.
Dissension or disagreement. When the two parties do not agree on something, they start arguing. There is a disagreement and there's a talk. This may lead up to something very destructive. Let me start with an incident. Let me take you back to the past, which was June 15, 1914. 1914.
Good.
Hungary, you must have heard, you're hungry right now, I know. You must have heard the country's name, Hungary. Hungary and Austria. They used to be Hungary, Austria, or Austria, Hungary, they used to be one. And they used to share the throne. And there was some political conflict. The Hungarians, they were very hungry for the land. Especially their king, which was the monarch, he was called Archduke Ferdinand, something like that. The Ferdinand is the name which is mostly used for them. He was the king, he was a monarch, and some people had conflict with him. They did not agree with his political policies. And they decided that conflict, became something very grievous and serious. The Archduke was on a visit and he was inspecting a parade. He was attacked by some Serbians, Serbian young people like you, because they had conflict. They didn't like his policies. So there was no dialogue between the Serbs and Hungarian people. The monarch, Ferdinand, he did not welcome them even to come and talk about that. So that conflict rose up to something more serious. And you know what? What was the consequence of that murder, of the assassination of Ferdinand, the Austrian-Hungarian king or the monarch?
World War
I.
World War I, the war to end all wars, was touched off when a Serbian terrorist assassinated the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne in 1914. American sentiment against the German alliance surged in May 1915 when a German U-boat sank the passenger liner Lusitania just days after leaving New York Harbor. Nearly 1,200 lives were lost. In April 1917,
And you know the consequences of World War I? How many people were killed, including civilians and military personnel? Just guess. Just guess. I want a rough guess. Yes. This is where I go.
1,000 million?
Thousands of people. Yeah, you're right. 35 million. 35 million people were eliminated, which included young, old, kids, women, everybody, civilians and military personnel. And after that World War I, we had another war which is called World War II. That was also the outcome of the after effects of World War I. Because the grudges which resided in the hearts of those governments, that brought the Second World War into being. And what was the casualty rate in World War II? It was only 10 millions, lesser than that, but still it was in millions, 25 millions. And we also had a nuclear bomb attack for the first time in the history of mankind. So these are the consequences of what?
First.
Conflict, the disagreement on something. And when the conflict is not addressed properly, there is no attempt to resolve that conflict. This happens which I just shared with you guys. So today's topic is conflict. But this conflict is not political conflict. This conflict is not internal conflict. There is always an internal conflict as well. इंसान के अपने अंदर भी तो जदोजहद जारी रहती है, conflict होता है. You agree on something, you disagree on something within yourself. To be or not to be, that is the question. The English literature people know that was a big Shakespearean conflict, which one of his characters, Hamlet, he was suffering from this conflict issue. Anyway, Ji, so this conflict which we are going to talk, it is for you guys. We are training you guys to be the executives, business executives, BBAs or MBAs, or maybe BDES people, I don't know, but still, of course, you have to work somewhere. So this is a conflict in the context of corporate world. When you start your practical life, you have conflict with people and how you tackle these conflicts. So this is something very important. The machine is very slow. It's another conflict. Yes. Beautiful. Beautifully said.
So we can specify the reasons of conflicts.
Yes. Anybody can help me in narrating this? I did. F5 and we get this message.
Just go for the slideshow.
Don't over expect from God. Sometimes he fails and he has nowhere to hide. This is what he gets. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Interpersonal conflict, the disagreement between more than one people, two people or a company of friends, connected people who are connected with each other in some way or the other. You are either co-workers, you are either friends, or personal life, of course, you are the life partner. Anyway, so these are called interpersonal conflict. There is a word, inevitable. Anybody has an idea what inevitable is? The backbenchers. I always go for backbenchers. Inevitable, yes, try. You can't avoid it. It has to happen. It has to be there. That is called inevitable. And conflict, the experts believe that conflict are a blessing. Do you agree or not? Do you agree that the conflicts are a blessing?
Yes, sir. Yes.
How can be the blessing?
Because of the conflict,
Yes?
we have the ways to come over on it.
Beautiful. And look who's talking. Ans, yes, he's right. Conflicts are blessing. Difference of opinion is a blessing. And psychiatrists say, wherever there is no difference, there is only indifference. This is a beautiful quotation given in your book. Indifference means callousness, insensitivity, staying away from the problems, staying away from people. Behisi, you can call it. So if you don't have difference of opinion, that means you are not loyal to the organization. So once you are in a meeting, these days gone are the days when employers were people who like to be flattered. Purane budde babe, they were not aware of the techniques, new techniques, so you could have easily pampered them. So unki tareef kar de, yes sir, aise hi hoga. These days, educated people are there. They are your boss. They know if you are not disagreeing, you are saying yes to everything, you are not loyal to the organization. I'm sharing a secret with you guys. So please do disagree with the boss, but in a nice way, of course. You can't just persist on that. Disagreement is a blessing. So we can come up to something productive and something beneficial. William James, he is a very renowned American psychiatrist. He says, whenever you are in conflict with someone, there is one factor that can make the difference between damaging your relationship and deepening it. That factor is attitude. Attitude. This is not the conflict which jeopardizes or which constructs your relationship. It's your attitude when you face a conflict and how you resolve it. So attitude matters, conflict does not matter. Of course, conflict is influenced by culture and gender. We Pakistanis, we have different reasons for the conflict, and sometimes those reasons may seem funny, but sometimes American conflicts may seem funny as well. In Pakistan, of course, we have conflicts. Personality issue is the number one. You join an organization, there are some people or there is somebody who doesn't like you because you look good. You are more attractive than that person. or you wear nicer dress than that person, or that person has a feeling that you are there to replace him. This is the biggest fear when you join an organization.
Insecurity.
Am I right or wrong?
Insecurity.
Insecurity. This is sense of insecurity that you are a competent person and the other person is afraid of you, scared of you, that you may replace the person. So in Pakistan, we have conflicts. Not only this one, but also other conflicts. For instance, when we have a conflict, our behavior is something different. We even come to dragging our swords upon each other. मरने मारने पे आ जाते हैं हम. छोटी सी बात है. It started from your organizational issue, your work issue, but it may end up to something more disastrous, something physical. It may harm you. This is our culture. हम ना का मसला ना लेते हैं. We take that conflict to our homes. Good people, they just, when they leave the office, they keep every anxiety, every worry, all those official matters, conflict, everything over there. They go home with free mind. Now that they say that this is our time, this time is for my family. So they go open-minded. But over here in our culture, we cannot get rid of all these feelings and we keep burning throughout the night. You keep thinking, don't you? This is our culture. So culture has an impact. Yeah, they remind me of that donkey in the zoo. Remember? That donkey always took time in understanding. Anyway. So the culture and how we resolve it, how we try to get a solution of all those conflicts, that also is influenced by the culture. Our culture is that mostly we seek somebody's help in our culture. Third person.
Mediate.
Even in print में they got पढ़ा मुझे meeting होती है सारे इकट्ठे हो जाते हैं. But in work, in cities and in our atmosphere, the educated intelligentsia people, they just invite their boss or somebody else. यार तू मुका दे सारा झगड़ा, and the person interferes and mostly the issue is resolved. This is the culture. So the conflict is created. When it is created, we have the impact of the culture, and how it is resolved, it also carries the impact of the culture. Gender, this is something very important. What do you think? Women, when there is a conflict, women stick to the conflict more, or the men stick to the conflict more? All right, hold on. Don't make it a Kishmarki. All right, please raise your hand. People who believe that women, this is the women who take it on nerves, who's involved more. Okay, and people who believe that it's the men who are involved more. And people who are not raising their hands, what are they?
Non-believers.
Please. You have to prove that you are either a girl or a boy. But the studies are different. You are mistaken. It is the women who stick to the conflict more than men. This is what the psychiatrists believe. Hold on. But the difference in she sticks to the issue, the conflict more than men, but she doesn't want to resolve it the way men want. She wants to end it. That is why she sticks more to the conflict, because she wants an end, and a permanent end. She wants a permanent end. She wants it to be resolved forever. But men do otherwise. Seemingly, we ignore it. We just say, "ठीक है जी, देखा जाएगा." When some people fight, you must have heard that when two men are fighting, one of the men usually say, "Oye, kamu na bata." In a very cool way. "Na bata kamu. Tu janta nahi hai mainu." He is still warning, and he means it. Of course, he is right in that attitude, in that approach, because he knows the consequences. So he unconsciously tries to evade that situation, but he nourishes up that grudge in his heart more than women. Women stick to the conflict more seriously, but she wants it to be resolved as quickly as possible. Men do otherwise. So gender has also a role in it. Yes.